Do you ever think to yourself what a load of bollocks the vinyl community is? Oh dear. Pick yourself 10 records you listen to the most. I mean, really? Really? Why? Why? I mean, I got to go through my record collection and dig them out and figure out what I want to listen to. The 10 I listen to the most, you know? Fuck that. You know? Eponymous albums as well. Eponymous albums. Eponymous. Nah. Oh dear. Oh dear. We're all a part of it, aren't we? All a part of this craziness. And yeah, just it's mental. It's absolutely mental. I just want to listen to music. You know, I don't want to be thinking too much about it. I don't want to be ranking albums against other albums, and you know, it's just boring. You know, music is music. Just leave it alone. What I mean, what's there to talk about? What's there to talk about? There isn't anything to talk about. There isn't. Apart from the Beatles, that's about it. Most subjects, you know, people want to talk about the Beatles, go over and over their success and their albums, and you know, buy up all their merchandise and you know all this kind of crap. You know, which is great for some people if that's what they're into, but you know, it's not for me. You know, music is a great thing. Don't get me wrong, but there's other things than just music. You know, music's just one art form. There's others. You know, there's all sorts of interests out there. Sports, hobbies of whatever description. You know, it's not more to life. There's family. There's you know art comes in many shapes and sizes, and you know music's just one. You know, literature, for example, movies. You know, gaming, sports. You know, people people work. You know, most people have to work. You know, they haven't got time for any kind of leisure. You know, very little time. You know, time is taken away, and you know the reality of life and its harshness can make you pretty preoccupied and pretty numb in a way. You know that you don't get enough downtime. You're always on the go. We're constantly on the go as human beings. You know, unless you're retired, you know, life's a bit more quieter, a bit more easier. But you know, for people who aren't, you know, life is tough. Um, and it's a struggle. Life's a struggle, and most people haven't the time to talk about music. You know, they haven't the time to talk about anything because they're just so wrapped up in their own life. You know, their own going ons. You know, kind of don't feel the need to talk about music. I mean, I can't really say too much about music anyway. Really, I for one, I don't want to be talking about music for one, and two, I'm probably not the best person to you know, to talk about music. You know, there's plenty of others who can, you know, but music is just music. You know, it's as great as it is. It's just music. You know, it's just music. You know, like art is art, and football is football. You know, just it's just an interest. It's just an interest, like many. You know, um, football is easy to talk about than the music. Music's very difficult to talk about as well. You know, and talking about music is boring. You know, what's to talk about? What's to talk about? How can you talk about music? If you're talking about music, then that's less time actually enjoying the music. You know, that's why I don't get like some of these streams which stream every day. You know, where they're sitting around talking about music for hours. You know, every day for hours. When you could spend that time listening to the hobby you're talking about. That doesn't even make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense. You know, why would you spend all your time making videos or streaming, talking about music, when you could be sat listening to music? Okay, yeah, I can kind of understand, you know, you get to channel what you want to say, and, you know, there's other interests about, you know, music, and you get to learn about music from other people, you know, but you learn about music as you live your life. You know, you learn about it just by living. You discover new things by yourself. More often than not, you discover it by yourself than actually going out and trying to learn things. You know, and trying to sort of learn things about other people. Which, I mean, you can learn things from other people. I mean, we all have in the VC. We've all picked up certain bits and pieces from people, and, you know, discovered new bands and, you know, new artists. Don't get me wrong, but you know, you don't need that. It's not a need. You can discover things out for yourself. You know, there's plenty of ways to find out about music. You know, you can stream music. You can pretty much get anything these days. You know, everything's pretty much at your fingertips now. So, you know, the fun is in the discovery, which you don't have to talk about. You don't have to, you know, discuss with others about it. I've been thinking a bit, you know, about music, and you know, you can generally talk about all sorts of genres of music. But there's one genre I'm thinking that you can't really talk about it. You know, you can talk about the Beatles and, you know, guitarists and drummers of certain bands and things. Bands you can, because they're actual instruments they play. But when it's not traditional instruments, such as like club music, then how do you talk about it? How do you talk about club music? Because yes, it is music, you know, and yes, people enjoy that type of music, but you know, it's difficult acquiring that information about that type of music, and it's difficult talking about that music. So how can you discuss the greatness of it or its genius? You can't. All you can say is how it makes you feel, you know, whether it's good or bad, or whether you love it or don't love it, or, you know, think it's brilliant, or how do you talk about club music? You don't know how they made that. You haven't an idea at all how they put that together, because it's not instruments which are traditional. Only people in that kind of trade know about that, and can discuss that, and and yeah, there could be different elements to that music where someone might be scratching on a record, or electric sound is very hard to talk about. Club music, and is it really music? I mean, it's not like up there with, say, like bands. It doesn't have that kind of appreciation. Doesn't have that kind of respect in a way. It's kind of frowned upon, I think. It's lazy music. It's lazy music because a lot of it is just noise. It's you hear it and you don't even think about who made it or who sung it or who put it together. You have you have an album of trance or whatever it is, and or you have like a playlist on your iPod or whatever, and you listen to all this kind of trance and club, and and it's just on to the next track, on to the next track. You appreciate how it makes you feel. You understand how it makes you feel, but you don't appreciate the artist as such. It's forgettable. You're on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next track. You're on to the next banging track. How do you talk about that kind of music? What's there to discuss? Just some thoughts. And then the enjoyment's out of listening to the music. What you get out of the music. How does it make you feel? How much do you enjoy it? Some music's not always appropriate. Some music, you're not always in the mood for that type of music. You might want something a bit more softer. You might want something a bit more harder, a bit more rock. A bit more oomph to it. Moods change, and sometimes you want a bit of classical, sometimes you want a bit of jazz, or moods are never the same. Moods are always changing, and tastes change. Go off certain things, and then you come back to them years later, and that's your favourite band again. And after a few years of it being ignored, you go listen to it again after a few years, and it's one of your top bands again, which you pretty much before you wrote off, you've forgotten about. Music is a safe haven. It's a safe haven for a lot of people. There's a nostalgia aspect to music. A lot of people in the VC, they're not really into modern music. They normally goes up to a certain date. Mainly sort of most people, I think, interested in the VC is sort of 70s, 80s, those sort of decades. And not too much further. It kind of fizzles out as it sort of reaches the 90s and the noughties. Because a lot of people in the VC are they're older than me. They're older generation, so that their decades are a little bit further back than my personal preferences. But I mean, I like all types of music of all eras, sort of 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s and onwards. So I mean, it's, there's all certain bits of pieces of decades, certain bands and things from certain decades, which I can pick out and I like. It's hard to say the best decade. I suppose it probably would be for me the 60s, but even some of those sort of years are a bit kind of hit and miss. Every decade's got hits and misses, sort of peaks and then sort of goes down, and as it goes through the decade. But I think modern music, like today's music, I think it's just like an all-time low thing, and it's kind of flatlined, for probably a good maybe 15 years, maybe a little bit more. It's so very samey. There's nothing on the radio really which really stands out at all. It's all very samey. It's all very loud, all very noisy. Just not really into anything really, unless it's like the older bands, which have released an album like the new Blur album, or Noel Gallagher's new album, or singers of the past releasing new stuff. I mean, even Cat Stevens has released a new album. Those kind of artists and bands I have an interest in, but even they've like, their time has passed. Their sort of glory years have gone really. They're not going to sort of hit those heights of what they once were, despite how good of an album they make or how good of a song they make. Their glory is in the past, and that's where it stays really. When they're young, when people are young, they write their best stuff. As they get older, I think they become better musicians, but their stuff they've done in the past when they were young is what people look at. It's what people think is their best material. And it all comes out when you're young. All this kind of creativity and expression, it all comes out when you're young. As you get older, you become more civilized. You're supposed to. But yeah, I think generally you become a bit more sort of civilized and, a bit more, quieter, I suppose. You accept, you're getting older, you accept responsibility, you accept, owning things, owning a house, responsibility, and you become settled, all that kind of youth and that kind of, aggression, I suppose. I mean, in some ways it can be aggressive, aggressive expression, I mean, music is about feeling. Music is feeling and expressing feeling. It's all about how it feels, how it makes you feel. It's all emotion. Music is emotion. How those sounds, how those words, how it gets to you, how it makes you feel. You go through a whole range of emotion with music. Some music makes you feel confident because it's like a confident kind of sound. Oasis, for example, they had like that kind of very confident kind of sound to them. You hear it and you feel kind of confident. It's just how it makes you feel. You know, and there's other artists who get other feeling from, you know. Who talks about feeling? Who talks about how music makes you feel? And what it makes you feel? And why it makes you feel? Nobody. No one talks about the emotion. No one talks about the feeling. No one talks about the band and how much of a good guitarist so-and-so is. And, you know, what albums are better than other albums and what bands are better than, you know, statistical. It's all statistical, you know. And us as hobbyists, we're always looking for, you know, a topic or an excuse to dig out records and showcase them. Always looking for a reason or a thread to put out there to people to jump on and to sort of to copy, you know. Threads, competitions, and, you know, this kind of thing. Which is okay. You know, it's fine, but you know, and you know, people want to do that. Then, you know, if that's what they enjoy doing, it's fine. It's no problem. But I mean, I don't think I can anymore. I don't think I can. For one, I'm not really listening to vinyl at the moment, you know. And I'm too unorganised at the moment. I've got, you know, stuff going on at home and other distractions and things, you know. I just kind of put vinyl, you know, on hold for a bit, you know, just play the odd record. I mean, I played a record today. I haven't played a record in ages. I mean, I listen to music quite regularly, but I haven't been playing vinyl very much at all. I think I put a bit of Supertramp on today, but that's it. I haven't played anything else, and I haven't got a top 10 what I play because I haven't been playing anything. If I'm honest, you know, I could make something up and pick out 10 albums and show you. But if that's not truth, then I'm sort of making it up and I'm sort of blagging it, then that's no emotion. You know, there's no emotion in that. You know, I've got to have something in here to make me want to do a video. You know, I've got to have something in here to make a video and talk about it. You know, that drives me. You know, not just sort of blindly talking about music with no kind of feeling, you know. Like reading it from a book, you know, about music. You know, scripted almost. You know, which I can't do it. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. You know, I have to do my own channel. I have to do my own thing. You know, and it's not going to be for everybody's. It's not going to be for everybody's taste. You know, it is what it is. So, if I was retired, I could do these videos. You know, I'd have the time to do them easily. And I'll be a lot more enthusiastic. But I'm not there yet, you know. I'm not there, obviously, there yet. You know, I'm still young. I'm still living my life. You know, I have my problems and things, and you know, I can't commit like others. You know, I've got too much on. I've got other interests as well, which conflict. Constantly in confliction. So as much as I like to to do these things. You know, if I don't feel passionate about it, I don't think I can. You know, I don't think I will. Um, I don't mind showcasing like stuff I picked up. You know, they're easy videos. You know, they're easy to do. But it's just the same thing. It's the same formula. It's the same kind of tired formula. Keeps showing vinyl. You know, tried and tested, maybe, but you know, even that becomes monotonous. You know, showcasing records. You know, sometimes I think there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to say. You know, just go out there and discover it. Just go out there and find those bargains if you want to. You know, or stream music. Go out there and enjoy it. Don't waste your time talking about it like I'm doing and others. Anyway, catch you later.